now I'm turning to you. Once again, a very, very warm welcome to our 5th Lingotalk. You're going to have a chance to introduce yourself properly in a few minutes. Before that, though, I would like to get to know you better. We've only been chatting a couple of times, and most of our guests here don't even know you at all. So what I suggest we do is a portrait chinois, what we call a Chinese portrait in French. And that is basically a description of yourself through analogies. You ready? Does that sound good?
Sure, absolutely.
Sweet.
Go ahead.
So first question, Pierre, if you were a dish, what would that dish be and why?
A dish, you mean a plate?
A dish, a meal, you know, un plat.
Oh, a meal. Oh, all right. I love spaghettis. Bolognese, spaghettis.
Spaghetti bolognese, that's very specific.
Exactly. Yes. No, I would be, to be honest, I would be a meze. You know, Lebanese meze?
Mm-hmm.
You know, special, you know, different little meals. Yeah, that would be what I would be.
Does everyone here know what a meze is? Yeah, maybe you want to explain a little bit what meze are.
A meze, you know, if you travel in the Middle East, Lebanon, Syria, before now, but you know, used to be you know, before really eating the main dish, the main meal, or even only for that, it was a series of little kind of aperitif, or you know, kind of, and it was it is different sorts, and you pick a bit, you know, everywhere, etc. It defined a bit the person I am, actually, to be honest. Yeah.
So meze,
you're a bit curious, and you look at this one. Oh, it doesn't look good, but try this one. Try, kind of, you know. That's yeah. That would be exactly what I would be.
A very social experience indeed. A meze is
Absolutely,
something you share,
also, yeah,
it's something everybody gets to enjoy together. And I think that's also a delicious starter, one of my favorites.
Absolutely. All right.
I have a message from Karen saying the audio is not outputting. Is anybody else experiencing issues, or is everyone except Karen able to hear us correctly?
No, for me it's good.
Okay. To reply to Isaias's question, the point of this chat is not really a class, right? It's just to sort of help everyone practice a bit their English and get to know Pierre, who we're going to discover together in a few minutes, right? So think of it as a way to sort of practice your English. Now, on to your second question, Pierre.
Yes.
If you were a city, which city would that be and why?
New York. Definitely New York.
Uh-huh.
Definitely New York, because it's diverse. The population first, you know, the constructions, it's buzzing. There is energy. To be honest, in Brazil, there are also. I've been to Brazil some years ago, to Sao Paulo and to Rio de Janeiro, of course. It could be also, you know, kind of, you know, real, but New York, definitely. Now, people ask me why I'm living in the city I'm living now, and where would you live somewhere else? There is 3 cities in the world, apart from Paris, of course, because it's nice, but as a tourist. Berlin, London, New York. Answering to your question, New York is the city I could identify myself.
So lots of energy, very diverse places. Lots of opportunity as well.
Absolutely, yes, you're right.
Excellent. Third and final question of our Chinese portrait, Pierre. If you were a superhero, which one would that be and why?
A superhero. James Bond, of course.
James Bond.
Sean Connery, although Sean Connery is a bit taller than me, but, you know, kind of, you know, why? kind of dashing, smart, debonair, kind of all this stuff,
Yeah, the very elegant, sort of low-key.
Yeah, I like to be seen like that. Maybe not
Okay.
today, but kind of.
A fairly classic one too. All right, excellent.
Yeah.
Pierre, the floor is yours now. I know it might be a bit difficult to summarize your life story and your career, right? But if you were to give us a few sort of points that we should remember about you in, say, 5 to 10 minutes, what is it that we should know about you, basically?
Sure. I'm coming from a diverse family with two origins, which are antagonist. But still, I integrate the antagonism of the origin of family quite well, although quite well later in life. Kind of was 30, 40 years old, not before. It was difficult for me to position myself. I'm an economist and a finance specialist, working 20 years in this field with top companies like Morgan Stanley, Swiss Bank Corp, etc., etc. And I decided to go back to university when I was 42 years old to study psychology. Why psychology? Actually, when I was 18 years old, I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. But when I decided to leave Morgan Stanley to do something else in my life, I thought, 40 years old studying to be a doctor, I thought I will never earn my money before I'm in pension. Okay. So I decided to try to understand what the word doctor means. And actually, all in my life, I had a kind of reputation that people come to me to tell me stories, to tell me their confidence. I don't know why. It was always like that. Okay. Sit to somebody tell me their story. I listen to them. Okay. So I decided at some point, apart from my interest, to sell my ears. Okay. Listening to people and making a business out of it. Right. So I studied psychology. When you go in France into university in France, psychology is very clinical, Freud, etc., etc. I didn't recognize myself in the clinical psychology. Lucky, I had a professor who said to me, with what you've been doing before, business and finance and economy, etc., etc., there is something coming out of America. We don't know what it is. It's called coaching. It was in 1998. And he didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. In any case, he said to me, if you ever go in this direction, you better study behavioral psychology. So I did, and I became a behavioral psychologist, working through an American company at some point, located in Belgium, where I really learned my job of being a coach. I am a coach. I'm an advisor. I'm a speaker from time to time. And I'm working at top level with top executive. And for the last 23 years now, I work more than, 100, 120, 150 main company, but a top executive, position. And very powerful company, very powerful people. And I didn't know why I had more impact working with top executives. Now I know why. Because I studied, I tried to understand, well, middle management doesn't work that well with me. I thought it's because, I push people in another direction. They are not, mature enough to understand, etc. That's not true. In fact, I have a certain style, which makes for me to be easy to interact with top executives. It's not the place to tell you the whole story, but I could tell you another time if you wish. Why is it my style has, a greater impact on top executives? What you want to know about myself? That's it. In fact, if I have to give a resume, I mean, sum up who I am. I am a performance enabler. I am somebody who's tried to create a winning mindset in people. What is it, a performance enabler? I have a problem with people who have qualities, competencies, and they don't use it. And they don't use them. So it's like, I believe strongly, you know, not my education, but my projection, my belief in life, that everybody has a kind of diamond inside of themselves. And most of these people have a diamond, a rough diamond, doesn't shine. My job is to help have them diamond shine. And that's the job I do. That's why I'm paid. And I enjoy when people go up to the end of the potentials. I mean, I'm so happy for them. That's who I am.
Excellent. Thank you, Pierre. That's actually a beautiful metaphor. I love the idea that every one of us has a diamond somewhere in there, but that we're not always able to polish it and shine it as we should.
Yeah.
So to give like two of the main outlines of your professional courses, right? You started off your career in banking, and for the past 20 years or so, you've been working as an executive coach and, as you said, a performance enabler. And one thing that caught my attention is we think of the banking industry as an industry that deals in facts, figures, data, you know, objective, rational stuff. And then coaching is a lot more about intangibles, right? It's about mindset, motivation, well-being, value systems, and so on. So at what point, what made you realize, basically, that those intangible qualities were so important? And what do you think they're sort of, people give them enough value nowadays, especially in the finance industry?
Well, to come back to answer the last question, I don't think so. I don't think in the finance world that, you know, they are watching the behaviors, and if they're watching the behaviors, they are negative behaviors. I didn't like, to be honest with you, I didn't like the mentality of the people working at top broker organizations. They were doing the business, and they were there for the business. There was a saying at Morgan Stanley, I think it's still there. I don't mind to repeat it, you know, we are here to make money and to have fun. Notice the first part is okay, make money. To have fun, I'm not quite sure. You can have fun if you succeed, but you're as good as the last success you had. You can have a wonderful year, successful, come the next year and you're less successful, you're not successful. American mentality, Anglo-Saxon mentality. Yeah? You are as successful as the last success you had. Well, the relationship I had working, you know, we work in a platform, you know, 450 people, you know, with the noise, with 3 cameras, 2 telephones, and the people, you know, with the trader here, the boss there, etc., etc. The relationship, the real relationship with the people, okay, everybody was very happy if you were selling an, I don't know, 10 million, $50 million, no problem. Buying, selling, because a broker is not buying, it's a buying, selling, okay? It's a broker, it's in the middle. So it always make money. But the relationship was aggressive, not friendly, really. We're here for the money. And I said, I studied I study economics and finance. I have a doctorate. I'm a Frenchman, working in the Anglo-Saxon environment. And when you talk to your clients, when you interact with people, you believe in what you said because you studied that. Well, you're not asked to say what you believe, really. You're asked to sell the stuff that the company wants you to sell. And there was a problem in me with my own fundamental values. One day my father asked me, didn't ask me, recommend me something. He said, you know, Pierre, there's one thing in life you have to choose. Do you want to make fortune? Do you want to have money? Or do you want to have the right reputation? I choose to have the right reputation. For me, reputation is much more than $1 million or $2 million, etc. Because the million, you can lose it, but with the reputation, you can make it. So interacting with the people, my clients, and I had a lot of clients, you know, something like 60 clients is not private clients, pension fund, French banks, French funds, etc., etc. Telling them what I believe and try to sell them what I don't believe in, I had a problem with my own reputation. And they liked me and said, Pierre, why you do that to me? What should I say? Carry on saying, it's not me, it's the strategy. I couldn't do that. You know? So at some point, I don't, sorry for that, sorry for my French, I don't spit on the money, okay? I like money. But after having made money, I decided maybe, you know, I couldn't think, you know, staying there for next 20 years of my life. I said, you know, there is something better to do for me. And I decided to quit. I made money, went away, and it took 2 years to think about, you know, what I will be doing, because I was in the world of finance and economy, you know. And then after 2 years of thinking, I found the right question. If you were 18 years old, what would you study today? To be a doctor, medicine doctor. Then, you know, psychologist, etc., what I said at the beginning. But I realized that the relationship and the value system was something which was missing, and was not okay with me. It didn't decide me to study psychology. But when I was studying psychology, I realized that these fields are something I like to be a reference on. And I think I am today.
So I think you said something interesting about the fact that about the relationship you had back in your days working in the finance industry, right? Like the fact that the relationship could be tense, sometimes full of conflict. Is it true that I mean French people, are more prone to conflict than other nationalities? And do you think it's only negative, or can there be positive sides to being so, you know, sort of arguing all the time and being very direct in our communication style?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. And if you look at the statistic, if you take Brazil and France, they're exactly the same amount of conflict in their organization that they spend. 1.8 hours per week in conflict situation. French, Brazil. Most the American, then the German. No. We may in France have a different opinion many times, you know. We're 60 million French people and 60 million different opinions. Well, it's difficult to manage. But if you follow the statistic, not more than other countries. There is a study, I can send that to you, Alexandre, Eloi. You'll see. It's an oldest study, 2009, something like that. But it's a world study, okay? So, you know, you don't do world study every five minutes or five years, you know, and still valid. And you'll see exactly what other dimension you can see, you know, everything about conflict. I'll send that to you, to Alexandre and you, Eloi. No, we don't have more. No. We may have a different opinion. It can lead to difficult situation, but, you know, there's something else to get to a conflict. Apart from that, I do believe that conflict is good. I do believe that you need to have conflict in your life, in your organization, because that's a route for innovation and creativity. I'll use a metaphor, which I like very much, so I will use it, okay? Imagine two tectonic plates hitting each other. Okay, tectonic plate hit each other, okay? It's kind of a conflict, okay? Hit each other. What's happening? Usually what happened is no tsunami, earthquake, catastrophe. But what's happening also, and a lot of people forget about that, mountains. From nothing, suddenly something new. So the same situation of, conflict can create catastrophe, can create something good or interesting. That's why I think that conflict are good. And if you ask anybody, people listening to us today, give me an adjective for defining conflict, I think 80% of the population present today would say, oh, negative, or war, oh, I don't like, or, kind of all negative. But what's about the mountains? What's about the creativity? If we were not having conflict with the environment, with the people, with the status quo, we will be still in a cave. It's because we put in question, have a conflict with the status quo that we made it up to today. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't want to take, any comment on this one, but we can evolve, we can improve, we can have a creative mind and innovation. That's why I believe conflict is important. Well, now, how to deal with conflict? That's another question. I don't know if you want to ask me a question, Eloi, but if you don't, I can carry on, Well, you had difficult time to stop me, okay?
No, that's fine. Go on for now.
All right, okay. So if the same situation can bring the dramatic and can bring the good, a lot of organizations are working on dealing with the situation. But if the same situation brings good and bad, why you deal with the situation? It's not interesting. That's not the situation which is important. Okay, Pierre, what is important if it's not the situation? Okay, the behavior you put in a situation which bring good or bring bad. So we work with a behavioral model which scan your natural behaviors in a conflict situation. Means the constructive behaviors, destructive behaviors. And you take knowledge of that, and you try to work on improving certain behaviors, but improving as much as these new behaviors that you will use allow you to achieve your goal. But at the end of the day, the goal is the most important. If I have a conversation with you, Eloi, and I'm in the same company, I want to work with you, okay? And first of all, Alexandre said, you have to work with Eloi, okay? And Eloi said, you have to work with Pierre. So I don't want to, I'm afraid of Alexandrine. I will work with you.
She can be quite scary. I'd be afraid of her.
Right, okay. All right. The best way for me, because of the objective, I have to work with Eloi, is to be constructive. But this must not always be the case. For instance, if I go to a butcher in France and he sells me a piece of meat and it's not good, I can come back to him and say, be very, very angry with him. I paid a lot of money for a piece of meat, it's not good, etc. Why do I allow myself to have a destructive behaviors in a conflict that I have with my butcher? Because I know I can go to another butcher, okay? But if I'm working in an organization, or if I have a problem with the person I'm living with or my wife, either I want to divorce immediately, because, so I can be destructive, or I want to leave the company I'm working in because I want to go somewhere else. But if not, if I still want to live with the person I am and work in the same company, I better be constructive. That's our job to, you know, tell people and to train people and coach people to adopt constructive behaviors or destructive behaviors. We don't tell them what they have to do. We just tell them what they can do. So they make
I really
aware.
love the distinction you're making between the different modes of response to conflict, right? And that reminds me of a piece of guidance I was given when I was studying negotiation a few years back. And they were saying you should be soft on the people, but hard on the problem. Meaning that when you're trying to solve a problem with someone, if you feel upset or if you disagree with something, you shouldn't take it out on the people. Like you should direct that energy towards the problem. And
okay, but you know, I agree with you, Eloi. But you know, if I disagree with you and you want to control me, I say, Eloi, I don't like the situation. I don't like that what you do. I don't like your behaviors. I have to express what I feel. If I keep it inside, it's not good for me.
absolutely.
And you believe that everything is okay for you. So no, you know, not being afraid of showing that you are not agreeing with this attitude, with this behavior, elegantly, constructively, but saying no.
Yeah, I think I also really like the analogy you made earlier about tectonic plates, right? Because precisely scientists nowadays believe that the first life on Earth, the very first life, the first bacteria, some 3 billion years ago, appeared in regions where basically tectonic plates were hitting each other and magma was oozing into the ocean. So you would have those hotspots where the first forms of life appeared. So it is indeed destructive, but also the source of sort of activity and energy and expansion. So I agree that we need a bit of conflict in our life if it's managed properly. Pierre,
Yes.
so you're an expert in resilience, and basically, I would think that a lot of the executives you've been talking to were going through difficult times, and I think that is the case with a lot of people and companies nowadays. We're in the middle of a pandemic. It has radically changed the way we do business, and so many people, for instance, have lost their jobs. And it seems that resilience is really more important now than ever. So how can I learn? How can we all learn to become more resilient? Is there a way we can practice that?
Well, resilience was all, when you study psychology, you know, you study also resilience, okay? You know, there is a big thinker in France and Europe or America talk about resilience. So it's a subject in psychology. So I was always interested in resilience from the study. Before the pandemic, before the COVID, resilience was still a subject for me, intervening, as said, as a top level for, you know, making people, bringing them to the right state of resilience. I'll come back to the word state. Now, because of the COVID, no doubt, you know, some years ago, people say, oh, that's good, you know, but some, you know, well, I don't know what people need to be resilient. They should get over it, okay? You know, get over it. You know, we don't really care. Okay. They only care in France. In France, they only cared about, you know, making people feel better or resilient, maybe, if they were put in front of tribunal. Okay, so you know, if somebody commits suicide or somebody, you know, went to the doctor or psychiatrist, etc., and you know, put a claim against the company because the boss or the board didn't take care of them, they're afraid. So they do a bit. But now, because of the COVID and because of all the stuff which is happening, I'm talking about COVID, the health, but also the economy tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and the year and the 10 years, next 10 years, you know, have to remember that, you know, the crisis in 2008, you know, we went in Europe, in any case, we went out of the crisis 8 to 7 years after the crisis. Okay, now we're talking about something which is much more important in terms of economies. Coming into a world where, you know, there is the artificial intelligence, robotic, etc., so that, you know, people in any case were maybe losing their job in the normal way because of the evolution, but, you know, more rapidly now because of the COVID. No doubts that people need to be more able to face difficult situations, to face adversity, to face uncertainty, to face ambiguity. The famous VUCA. You know VUCA? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Okay? We don't know what tomorrow will be. And somebody who is able to say today, you know, it'll be better in 6 months, in 2 years, etc., I think it's a liar. It's a liar. Because we don't know. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to turn our eyes on who we are and make sure that we keep up with ourselves, you know, in a healthy way. And there are some dimension in a model that we deploy in Europe and all over the world, but, you know, we specialize in Europe or South America maybe, about, you know, improving your state of resilience. You know, it's not because you study resilient and you believe you are resilient that you are resilient for the rest of your life. No, it's a state, up and down, up and down, up and down. What we want to teach people, to coach people, is to practice certain behaviors, behavioral model. All the model I'm working with are behavioral model, okay? Behaviors which would allow to put you in a state of resilience, maybe not the top state, but, you know, an acceptable state of resilience to face the most difficult situation in your life. Of course, the model was not created to face COVID-19, okay? So, you know, dramatic situation, we have to be humble, but at least to understand that you are important and you need a kind of psychological security, a physical security, etc., is a must. And some dimension are very, very interesting. You know, the best dimension, 2 dimensions I like in this model. First of all is, does the job you do today make sense to you? Does it make sense? Or are you just here to earn the money at the end of the month? You can be very good. This is what I did actually to working in my, you know, financial world. You know, I was earning the money at the end of the month. I was happy, you know, make money, okay? But did it make sense? Not really, not really. So does the job you do today make sense for you? Is it in line with what you believe are your values? It is in line with the person you are. A lot of people nowadays, and we have interaction with some people, say, you know what, during this period of COVID, I lost the purpose of my job. I will have strong conversation with them about, you know, what is the purpose of your life? You know, the question I was asked one day was difficult for me to answer, but luckily I did answer so I could do my presentation today. So, why are you here? So I found, you know, performance enabler, because before I didn't think about, you know, kind of, but why are you here? Why are you here, Eloi? Why are you here, Alexandrine, Danielle, and Suli? Because of the 4 people I have on my screen, okay? So why are you here? To do what? And that's the purpose of your life. If you meet the purpose of your life, you have more chance to be able to face difficult situations in a better way. And not a dimension, there is seven dimensions, okay? So the second dimension, which I love very much, is the capacity to take perspective. If I analyze my situation, or the situation of people I know, with no doubts, whatever happened, in a better situation than other people. So taking the rest of the people, the rest of the world into consideration, you shouldn't complain, really. So being able to take perspective, to see things with different eyes, to decentralize yourself from the situation is for me a dimension, a behavior that is very, very helpful to be resilient or to be. There's other dimension where the most dimension is, keep healthy, keep healthy. If you're not healthy, you'll never do it good. You have to be healthy. I don't say fit, okay? Healthy, eat well, sleep well, have, activities, sports activities. I don't need you to do the Tour de France. No. Just, be healthy. I was at some point in my life not that healthy. I had a problem with the back of my back, actually. And, for quite a long period, 6 years, I went to doctors and they say, the energy is not here, this and this and that. At some point, so I took some pills, etc. for 6 years. And then suddenly I was lucky. I was introduced to a guy who said, I just like you to do a scan. We looked at the scan and so look at that, look at this, look at that, look at that. I had a problem, very easy to analyze, very not easy to operate, but he did. Now I'm a free man, okay? I don't have any problem anymore. But for the 6 years, I can tell you, I was good. I was doing my job, but I was certainly not enjoying life. So come on top of that, some adversity, some danger, my resilience level was certainly not good. So take care of yourself. And I used to say to people who do not take care of yourself or people who take care of themselves is, you take care of yourself if you like the person you are. If you don't like the person you are, you don't really take care of yourself. So like yourself, love yourself, and show it to the rest, how you're dressed, how you are, how you take care of yourself. It's important. It's important. For a person's well-being, okay? I can carry on the next hour if you wish. Okay, I don't think that's what you want me to do.
Let's just make a few takeaways, maybe a few mental notes. The first thing I'm taking away is that we should be aware of our job's purpose, right? Ask yourself why I'm doing this job and what my purpose is. The other thing is put things into perspective, change your point of view of your situation, right? Look at it under different angles. Then, of course, stay healthy. I think that's super important. And eventually have some self-love. And that's something we need to practice more. But really interesting. I also want to
go
call out.
Just hold on, Eloi. I would just say, because I'm talking about people, in a language school, etc. Also interact with people. Interact with people. The capacity to interact with people allow you to lower your stress, allow you to see things in different perspective. And talking into your language school, you need to interact with other people, not only in your own language, but in every other language you can have. So that's good for you.
Absolutely.
And also think about your own value system, the purpose and values, interacting with people, taking care of yourself. And, that's, well, if you're more interested, I can talk more about this model, but, I give you a good light about this model.
I would love to keep you going, Pierre. So far, I'm loving this conversation. I hope everybody else is finding it interesting. But I'd like to first call out a bunch of contributions that Guillaume has made on the chat. I don't know if you guys have been looking at it, but he shared his perspective of conflict first, saying that conflict cannot be avoided, but that you need to address it, sort of like call it out, maybe book some time with the person you're having issue with and talk things through. I think it's a great solution when you can do it, that is. And then Guillaume also shared with us a few articles from HBR, Harvard Business Review. They're free of rights, and I haven't read them, but they seem really interesting. We're going to leave it at that, though. because we've already been chatting for over 45 minutes, and we're going to have a look together at the questions that were submitted on the dory. So thanks a lot to everybody who's been sharing their questions, right? Please keep adding them. You can add them in English, in French, in Portuguese, in any language. And as we go over the questions, let us know if you would like to read out the questions yourself, or maybe comment on the answers we're giving you, right? It's also an opportunity for you guys to practice your oral English. So you're very welcome to sort of read out and interact a bit more. Sound good? All righty. Thanks, Alex, for sharing your screen. The first question is about the top qualities an executive must have. What do you think, Pierre? What would be the top qualities for an executive to succeed?
Well, first of all, trust. He should be trusted, not only trusting himself, but he should be trusted by the people working with. Secondly, he has a kind of business and moral obligation to take care of his people, kind of, making sure they are resilient to face difficult situations, difficult negotiation, difficult environment, etc. Certainly, these two dimensions and knowing himself better, self-understanding, self-knowledge, because he will be judged by his behaviors, his capacity to make decisions, his the way he would project himself. So he should, top executive should know himself better, and that's actually the job I'm doing. Why I'm calling to companies for people to, be self-aware of how they are and how they show up, and Another dimension which is important is a clear communication, not a communication, but clear, not into 100 million details, but synthetic enough, but good enough for people to understand. And certainly his ability to understand the world of tomorrow and put the world of tomorrow that he understands into wording so that he can share that with the people working with. Not everybody has a vision. Not everybody is able to have a vision. But certainly there is, if you're a top executive working with the board has a vision for the organization, you share the vision, etc. You should be able to tell the story, tell the story of this vision. And making such a way, communicating in such a way that it's compelling and people want to be on board with you. I always thought that executive or top management or teams, I always ask some people, very often ask the question to people, who is the best, what is the best organization you ever met? Well, Amazon here, Apple there, etc. No, the human body. The human body is made of cells, and the cells communicate. The cells help each other. The cells have a mission, a role, etc., etc., etc. That's the job of an executive.
Keep your organization as healthy as you want your body to be. Excellent.
Yeah, certainly, yes.
Our next question is from a walrus. Can everyone make their diamond shine? So I think that's a reference to the analogy you made earlier about sort of finding the diamond within you and polishing it.
A little story. I was talking to a friend of mine who was doing business, okay? He was, talking to me about his business, etc., etc., etc. 20 minutes. It was pretty boring, okay? Then I said to him, if you were not doing business, what would you do? Well, he said, what I love, is to take some jewels, open the jewel, clean the jewel, put them back, etc. At the end of these 2 minutes, I was ready to give him my watch. Expressing what he really wanted to do, he certainly glowed. He was the best. I wouldn't do business with him, okay? No way. But give him a watch to clean or to make it things. I say, but why don't you're not a jeweler? Oh, I won't make enough money, etc. And I don't think that is true. I don't think that is true. If you love the job you do, if you really find what makes you sense for you in your life, you create this kind of aura that you attract people. That's what I say about, shining diamond. Everybody has one. Everybody has, you just have to maybe have somebody to talk to, somebody who's ready to listen to you, not your friends, somebody outside, can be, not too subjective, objective, understanding what you say, listening to you, asking the right questions. And peu à peu, it's a long way, but it's worth it.
So find something you like and dedicate yourself to it. And then success comes from that passion you have, right?
Passion, the motivation, the engagement, with the drawback of, if you're too passionate in what you do, you forget about the people around you. So some moderation, passion with moderation. But, it should make sense to you what you do. If it doesn't make sense what you do, you watch, you come at 9 o'clock, you go at 5, and what happened, you don't really care. Okay, people can have this life. I think there is more for each people in their life than just, going to work from 9 to 5.
Excellent. I see we're on to a search on Google about combining passion with moderation.
Good.
In the meantime,
Yes.
I'd like to take a stab at it as the next question, because I think it's really interesting. And it's something I'm personally very passionate about. The question is from a dingo, and it's whether you could tell us a bit more about how to resolve conflict in different cultures. So how do you approach, for instance, between France, Brazil, and Japan with regards to conflict might be different?
Certainly yes. Certainly yes. Although behaviors are behaviors, okay? Of course, you go to Japan and, he doesn't want to give you the hand to say hello. He's not angry at you. It just, it's not the way, the culture. I do believe that dealing with behaviors, understanding the main constructive behaviors and the main destructive behaviors, and understanding also what you call the hot buttons, so behaviors of others, which gets on your nerve very quickly and leads to you to be destructive. It's a first step to understand how you can deal with conflict in general. Now you have to adapt to the culture, to the language, and to be honest, this is also something which is very, very important, especially for your organization. If you speak a foreign language, you will, use, and the use of the word will be based on your own culture. Now, if you really want to have the right interaction and to prevent to have unnecessary disagreement or conflict situation, etc., you better also learn a bit of the culture of the language you're learning or the culture of the country you go in. So certainly understanding, in Europe we have so many countries with a big history, a very big history for, the last 2000 and a bit more year. And therefore we have a problem of identity. We're not a big mix in Europe. There's no more identity, etc., etc. But every country in Europe has a history. Japan also, China also, India also. So studying a bit of the history, geography, influences, even religion, wouldn't be bad to, have a good conversation with somebody. But still, when we say conflict is good, is because it's based of the idea that everybody is allowed to have a different point of view. On the contrary, a different point of view is very rich. If everybody think the same, like a German pattern used to say, that there's somebody who doesn't think. So thinking about having your point of view, expressing your point of view, but being constructive in the interaction, because the other person may have a different point of view, being constructive in the interaction can be acultural, can be also, there's no significant difference in the statistic between men and women. So learning the right behaviors, learning to understand what your hot buttons, the behaviors of others gets on your nerves, and trying to deal with it, and not forgetting what is your aim, what is your objective. Okay, so what would be the apart from that, I should present the whole model, but if I want to be short, and I'm not short to be honest, but I can answer that like that.
That's fine. I think there's a couple of really interesting points in there. And by the way, folks, if anything that Pierre or even myself are saying is not clear, or if you think you need more information, or if you want to have more details, again, you're all very welcome to step in, raise the hand, and tell us what you think. Yeah. The next question is also something I'm really curious about, because I feel that a lot of people might not be very true to themselves when it comes to business, right? You said it yourself. Sometimes you might be a bit alienated. You might think one thing and say something else because you've got a customer, you've got business sort of priorities. And so the question from the walrus is whether you've ever refused a client, turned down a client because of their reputation or because their purposes were not aligned with yours.
No. I turned them down for another reason, I'll tell you. But, reputation, purpose, I'm here to help. I'm here to listen. I'm here to ask questions. I'm here to help the person to find an answer to a problem he has. But I will turn down somebody if he doesn't have the same value as me. And my value system is also a model that we deploy. My value system, I know it. Well, it's interesting, actually. If you ask people, what are your values? A lot of people say, yeah, but they know one or two values. Understanding your value system, understanding your emotion, can allow you also to, exchange with people in front of you what you strongly believe about certain things and how you have the emotion, naming your values, more than say, oh, I have a value system, but, actually, what is it exactly? I'm sure if I'm asking the majority of the people present there, what are your 5 main values that you will, fight for? I know for experience, I'm not being arrogant here, but I know from experience that we found 1 or 2, maybe 3. That's it. So understanding your value system, understanding what is important in your eyes. And this model that we have is making a difference between what is important in your eyes as what you believe is your value system and what is important in your eyes when you are under stress. So there's a difference between, what is nice to be and what's really under stress, So I will turn somebody down if he has not the same value system. Definitely yes. Definitely yes. I know somebody in the world, you know them too, I certainly would not like to coach. Certainly not.
Pierre,
Yeah.
it seems that you are a doctor, because in the 20th century, the doctor had this kind of job, listening. It was not only
Sacco, yeah.
Yeah, it was basically listening to the people and be the person that knew the problems and
It's very interesting what you just said. I'm sorry if I don't answer the question, but I'd like to share something very important, which has also to do with the job you do. Listening to people, okay? We know that words are a code of communication. You say bread, 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 code of communication. But words are not a code for comprehension, understanding. Listening to somebody, he says something to you in his culture, in his language, French, German, English, or from somewhere else, broken English, broken French, etc. What he says, the word he says has a definition in his world, in his culture, in his, and the job of a coach is say, what are you telling me with this word? What are you wanting to share with me? What the definition of this word?
But not only with words, but also with body. That's why I'm saying, like doctor, listen the bodies and not only the words.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Apart from, the ears, apart from the noise, you're listening also with your body, absolutely 100%, Alexandrine. And, but I just wanted to make this thing that, when you talk to somebody, you are not sure what he says. You understand the words he uses, but you have to have the signification of this word in his own world, If I use a word in the same culture, the French culture, okay, the European culture, I suppose people think the same as me, although I'm not sure. If you go outside and you speak a foreign language, you need to ask the question, what do you mean with what you say? For instance, the word happiness. Happiness. Everybody understands happiness with their own representation, own signification. The word I love you, okay? Well, it's a bit, it's not good and it's not very sexy to ask the person, what do you mean with when you say I love you? Okay, but it should be, because, the definition, the representation of this word is different in different countries, in different culture, in different environments. So that was about, learning a language, learning the vocabulary, learning the semantic of the word, what does that really mean? It is also important, of course. The body language is also very, very important. Absolutely, yes.
And that's why it's a process. It cannot be a one-stop shopping or one-stop coaching. It's a process, because you have to understand the whole system of the person. You have.
Absolutely. You're totally right. Yes.
Pierre,
Sorry, Eloi.
No problem at all. Thanks to both of you for expanding a bit. But I wanted to get back to the previous answer you gave, right? What you were saying is that you've never turned down a customer because of their reputation or purpose, but that you have because of their values. And I'm sure you know that this answer invites another question, which is, what are your values?
What?
What would be your values?
Oh, I have a series of values. I mean, I can share them with you, kind of honesty, friendship, 3 others. But I want to say something about, one of my values is not only to have your values, but it's, are you living day to day your values? I have these values, blah, 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 whatever they are. Are you living day to day? Myself, I don't. Strangely enough. I should. Am I perfect? No, certainly not. But I don't even live sometimes my values. One of my values is friendship. It's very important for me. Therefore, I have a bit of a problem. I can't see the people I love. I can't see to interact with other people. Friendship. Well, the question is friendship. Okay. I thought to myself, the question was, are you living this value, Pierre, day to day? Or, in your life? And I suddenly realized that I have friends, maybe because I traveled a lot, everywhere, not only in France, in Germany, in America, in Canada, in Asia, etc. I have a person I love very much. It's a very good friend of mine. Really, I admire him on top of that. He's living in Canada. When was the last time I called him? I'm ashamed to pretend that one of my values is friendship. I don't pick up the phone to call him. Well, it's not as if I had to write a letter, wait for the letter to, no, internet, call, WhatsApp, etc., etc. So it's interesting that, you know, you can be a coach, you can be a psychologist, you can be whatever you want. You're not perfect, but you should not be perfect. It's good to have some things to improve, okay? So I realized that one of my values, I was not living it. Then, of course, the third man says, you know, you never criticize yourself too much. So I found a justification. Yes, to keep my values alive, I need to talk to my friends once a year. Then I was happy with myself. You know, you can fool yourself as much as you want, but you know, at some point, you know, are you living your values, etc. That's the most interesting question to say. Do you know you value Pierre? No, are you living your values really, Pierre? Because you know them. As everybody, not always. I'm not 100% congruent.
But the quality of this call, there is no another. So I do prefer one call a year that is valuable.
You're absolutely right, you know, absolutely right. And it's everything is in life is, you know, exactly one time, then, you know, repeatedly, you know, can get on the nerves. Well, I hope I answered the question. I know that you want to know my values, but, you know, the main thing for me was, you know, are you living your values every day? That was more interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a good takeaway. Sort of not only think what your values are, but ask how much of your life actually aligns with these values.
Because in fact, you know, this model we're talking about is based on needs, okay? You have needs, and these needs create values. There is some people who have values are based on what is called desire, okay? Needs, I need a car. Desire, it should be a Bentley. So, you know, my values is, no. So needs and values are tied together. A lot of people create their value system on the desire, which is, you know, it's not strong enough. Maybe that's why I'm not calling every day. Maybe it's just a desire to have friends, and we're not on the bed now and doing psychoanalysis. No. So,
Pierre, we're entering the closing minutes of this call. We've got we can stretch it about another 20 minutes. Yeah,
I don't have any problem myself. Okay,
that's fine. We've got another 20 minutes, and we've got at least 2 more questions that I'd like to go over with you. The first one is about how to find one's own weaknesses, right? So, João was saying that it's easy to find your weaknesses, but that finding out what your strong suit is not always that easy. And he's suggesting one possible answer, which is that sometimes you find that you're strong at the things you like to do. Is this one way to find what your strengths are? Going with what you like doing?
Certainly, yes. If you like something, you don't need anybody to tell you, read a book on it, do more of that. You will do it. You're motivated. You engage in doing the stuff, you know, even getting better yourself, you know, studying, interacting with the people in the field of, you know, what you like. No doubts, no doubts. If you do something you like, you are certainly more competent than anybody else. Weakness, just don't care about your weakness, okay? You know, improve what you're doing well. And your weakness, everybody has weakness, okay? So spending your time trying to improve your weaknesses is not bad, but not really necessary, okay? Work on what you're good at. Enjoy, because if you spend your time doing, you know, better, improving this weakness, we call that objective of development, okay? We never call that weakness. Nobody has weaknesses. It could improve. But, you know, in this world of interaction, this world of working not on your own, but with a team, you know, your weakness may be the strength of somebody else. So, okay, be aware of your weakness, but try to find somebody which, you know, can cover this weakness with his strength, and do what you do best. It's not an European approach. Okay, we never had enough good, you know. You have to prove that you're able, and then, you know, you have the contract. It's an American, you know, show me what you can do. If you're good, you have a job.
Oh, Pierre,
Okay.
Pierre,
Yeah.
Je vais te demander juste une pause. Je vais le dire en portugais parce que tout le monde ne comprend pas tout ce qu'on dit en anglais. Et je vais te demander de le répéter parce que ça, c'est vraiment important. Não, en anglais. Gente, é o seguinte, o que ele está falando agora, se tem uma coisa para vocês lembrarem desse encontro, é isso que ele está falando agora. Eu vou pedir para ele até repetir. Não focar nos seus pontos fracos, pontos para desenvolver, mas focar no seu ponto forte, para não gastar energia à toa e para poder, pelo contrário, todo dia usar sua energia no que você faz melhor. Pierre, você poderia falar de novo? Ele vai falar em inglês de novo. É o mais importante de todo o nosso encontro.
Okay, and maybe I will speak slowly. I forgot about, you know, speaking slowly, and Eloi didn't say anything to me, so he didn't remind me to be, you know, calm down. I get a bit passionate about what I'm saying. Okay, fair enough. The idea is following, you know, if you are good at something, you will be always, if it makes sense for you, you will be always interested in doing the stuff well. So you get some competencies. These competencies, if you add the fact that you like what you do, you will be always better than somebody who has the same competencies, but doesn't like what he's doing. Okay? So the idea is, first of all, try to find something that you like. And if you're good at something, work on being better as that. You can always be better. And don't spend too much time or energy, as Alexandrine said, investing in, you know, working on your weaknesses, because your weaknesses can be the strengths of somebody else. And as we're not working on our own, but we're working in a team or in an environment where you're not alone, and success comes with a group, not on your own, you can maybe have around you people who have the strength of your weaknesses. That's the fundamental idea. And as I said, it's not a European way of seeing people, because the European, the French, not the German, you know, the people I'm working with in Europe are more focused on, you know, I'm not good at this and I have to improve that. I said to them, that's not important. I'm not good at, you know, baking bread. You know, I'm good at what I'm doing, and I've learned, improve my competence in what I'm doing. I read books and I'm excited about what I'm reading, etc., etc. But I don't take care very much about, you know, things I don't really like. Okay. But in the US, and maybe in Brazil, I don't know, to be honest. But in the US, you know, that's an Anglo-Saxon approach. Do what you do best. You know, each people have their own, as I said before, you know, diamond, their competence, their what they believe is good for them. They like it for whatever reason. And instead of, you know, taking the time of working on your weaknesses. As a coach, an Anglo-Saxon coach, because I've been educated by the American, was focusing on developing your qualities, not your weaknesses. You know, that's where I've been trained. Be good, be better. Not, you know, you're not good. Okay, try to do better. No, 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 no.
Excellent. So,
Did I repeat it? It was good enough, Alexandrine? I hope people understand, because I agree with you. That is an excellent mindset change, you know, to see things, in a positive way. I like to do something. The problem, you have to know what you like, but that's, if everybody was able to find it like this, I wouldn't have any job. So
the next question would be, how can I know what are my qualities, or my skills, or my strengths, and what can I know what are the strengths of my people?
Well, it's certainly, you need to talk, you need to interact, you need to dream, you need to be able to put yourself as an observer of yourself. You need to listen to what your family used to say. Oh, he's so good at this. Oh, he's doing that so well. Oh, he will be a doctor. Oh, he will be a philosopher. He kind of, all this information that one always has said about you. At some point, there is something not wrong.
Yeah, but it's not as objective as your assessments. And I would like to tell people the assessment you use, because they are fantastic.
Well, thank you very much, Alexandrine. Certainly, you need to work with an experienced coach. He will listen to you. He will ask you the question nobody asks you, but because it is our job to ask questions nobody asks you. He tried to be objective, and to improve his objectivity, will ask you to fill up some forms, some questionnaire, and debrief with you, and you'll know more about yourself. And peu à peu, slowly, peu à peu in French, you'll find something which resembles a structure of where you could be good at. Yeah. It's an interaction process. It doesn't come like that. It took me 2 years on my own. 2 years on my own to ask me the right questions. I would have loved to have a coach. It was in the 90s. I was not a psychologist. It was before. So I would have loved to have a coach to ask me the right question. The question I couldn't ask myself, because I was in a certain world, and I wanted to have questions for getting me out of this world. So seek support, whatever, but not a friend. Because a friend would say, hey, Eloi, of course, you this and this and that, he's friendly with Eloi, okay? Well, no, somebody who it's his job to be, asking the right questions and listening to you, and, be critical, challenging, and understanding linguistic, okay? A word is a word, but signification is signification. All this, what I said before.
Yeah, and I think having somebody who can tell you the hard truths, not just bring you support the way a friend does, but also a coach who's going to ask you the tough questions and go into topics you don't want or you don't feel comfortable thinking about, that can be very valuable, because that's where you grow, right? When
just
you
with
realize,
limitation. Yeah, but with limitation. We're not going there tough and you'll see what I'll see with me. Okay, I will ask the right question. No. We are here to help. We are here to support the person who wants to discover something. We're not here to ask the tough question that nobody asks. It is part of the way you work, but no doubt, the person in front of you, and I forgot to say something, I will come back on something I forgot to say, need to be credible in your eyes to allow him to ask you the right questions. And somebody asked, what are the quality of a good executive? Is to be credible. To be credible in his general attitude, in his style, in his value system, in the way he wants to cooperate with the people and talk to the people. Credibility which is also a model that we have, is very, very, very important to be a good leader. But I think, not to be a good leader, to be a person of interest. When you talk to, some people say things and the guy is not credible at all, and we know enough of people like that, okay? So credibility is one of the main dimensions to have the right impact. And if you have the right impact, you have the right followers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about the information you're getting or the questions you're being asked, but it's about who's asking them and who's sharing with you. I think communication is always about context, and that includes who you're interacting with and how much trust you can put in that person. A final question for you, Pierre. Would you be that person? Are you up for hire? Can I come to you tomorrow and ask you for professional coaching services?
Absolutely. I am certainly, I make a bit of marketing for myself, okay? I'm certainly a credible person. I'm certainly somebody who is interested in people and somebody who wants people, to help people to, as I said before, kind of to shine. Everybody has something to offer, just sideways, okay? If money wouldn't exist, why should I go to Alexandrine to learn English? And what could Alexandrine buy from me in barter situation, okay? In a, contrapart. It's only because Alexandrine has a diamond, it shines, which attract me, and I prefer to go there than here. But Alexandrine won't wish to give me English courses if I don't bring her something. So I have to understand, what is my uniqueness? What is my diamond, which I can bring to Alexandrine, which makes her say, okay, you instead of this one. And I say, you, Alexandrine, instead of this one. So imagine the world without money, because money distorts the relationship and the use of competence. If I had to choose between you, Eloi, and you, Daniel, because you're on my screen, and there is money in play. You have a competence, he has a competence. It's difficult for me. There is no money now. You talk to me, Eloi, and Daniel, you talk to me. It's not only you talk to me, but I talk to you. So we create a relationship, a business relationship with no money. That's where you discover what you're good at, what's your diamond, what you can bring to the other one, which nobody else can bring. Difficult. Yes, I'm too high. No problem. Whenever you want, wherever, still in the screen. I would love to go back to Brazil or wherever the people are. Maybe tomorrow or the day after.
Sounds good. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully very soon.
Yeah, but if people are interested in, some of the questionnaire and give them feedback, etc., I'll talk to Alexandrine. We'll see what we can do,
Sounds
like
good.
the American used to say, we're open to business.
Excellent.
After all, I have to earn my living, okay?
We're all open for business. And you also mentioned a couple of resources earlier, an article, I think, which will
I'll send that to Alexandrine. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You'll see. 1.8 hours per week. Conflict costs money, okay? So if you don't deal constructively with conflict, it costs a lot of money. Easy to calculate. 1.8 hour a week. Brazil, okay? And France the same. Brazil, okay? So how many hours per month? How many people in the organization? Okay. Do I have a machine? We'll do that now. And that's my, my contribution to that. Okay. All right. We have, what do we have? 1.8 multiplied by, 4 a month. Okay. 4. Multiplied by 12, for a month, for a year. Yeah? Multiply by 12. 86 hours per year. Now you calculate, that's only one person. Let's say the company has, what would you say, Alexandre? How many people in the company? Whatever company.
200.
Durchschnitt, I mean, middle of the way.
500 or 200.
500. Let's say 500 people, okay? You multiply 86 hours. Multiply by 500. So 43,200 hours in this very specific company per year. Then you multiply by what? Who can tell me what I multiply with? The middle of the road salary of a person. So multiply by, take a Brazilian salary, middle of the road.
What's an average Brazilian salary per year, right? I'm gonna do a quick math.
It's 43. It's per hours, in fact, so per month divided by the number of, whatever.
Okay. Let's go with 5,000 reais per month. That's a ballpark figure.
It's too high. I'd say I would say 2,000.
2,000 reais. 80% of the population of the workers win 2,000 reais per month.
Okay, 2,000 equal how many hours? In France is 150 per year.
20.
How many hours?
It's 220 hours per month times 12. 220 times 12.
So you divide the
2,640. Yeah.
No. You divide the amount of money by the amount of hours.
Okay.
I need to have a price per hour.
9 reais per hour.
9. So you multiply 45,200 by 9. 388,800. So let's say 400,000. 1.8 hours in Brazil. That's the average. For a company of 500 people, you lose in time not spent working, non-productive, activity, 400,000 reals. And on top of that, maybe somebody is ill, somebody doesn't want to work, somebody has a problem, it costs a fortune to not deal with conflict appropriately. Just to make the point on the conflict.
I think that's going to be the final word in this talk. So conflicts do cost money, but fortunately we have ways to address them. And one of them is through coaching and behavioral analysis. Thank you so much, Pierre, for taking the time to join us.
It was a pleasure. In fact, I thoroughly enjoy because I like to talk about, what I'm doing and what I like to do. And it comes to what I said before, if you like something, you don't count the time, how much time, I have no clue.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure. No, it's a pleasure to interact. It would have been good if people were able to ask me questions, etc. But you did a great job of asking questions, like something too. But the world is different if you like what you do. Helping people to know what they would love to do. I would love to do that.
Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Einstein was right. It's a relative. Time is relative.
Folks, thanks to all of you for staying with us to the end. Thanks to those of you who also couldn't join us, couldn't stay until the end, but who did leave us messages on the chat. We're going to meet again next week for everyone who's on this call now. The talk next week is going to be in French, and it's going to be about interim management. Our guest will be French. His name is Nicolas Touchet, and we're really excited to introduce him to all of you.
Thank you very much for your invitation, Alexandrine and Éloi. It was a pleasure. Happy to carry on talking another time if you wish, if you believe it's interesting. And
yeah, I would say
have courage to face
to be a
situation
diamond
today. To be a to be a diamond. You know, if you are a diamond, you know, sometimes shining is too much. Some people don't like it and put their hands, or some people don't like to see it. But you know, who cares? Who cares? You know, reputation more than money. You know, reputation more than money. With reputation, you always make money.
Pierre, I'd like to thank you very much. It was an enlightening talk. I feel we've all learned so much about leadership, assertive communication, and conflict management. And I really would love to have you here again to share more insight with our students and guests, maybe in French the next time, or in Portuguese.
Okay, why not?
It was great. Thank you very much.
There's an automatic translator from Google.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Alexandrine. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't know, but it was a pleasure talking to you and sharing my thoughts and my beliefs. And wish you all the best, and keep safe, and don't forget to train a bit. Keep healthy.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Keep shining those diamonds.